Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. We were hoping that we'd have Joe Otto on today, but his flight got moved around back from D.C., so he's in the air, and we can't have him on in the air. We haven't figured out how to do that quite yet. So it's just me today. But today we're talking about the breaking news, which is, actually it was breaking news last night, and it's that the Mueller team was caught deleting 27 of their phones. Now, this happened after the Office of the Inspector General had already informed them he was looking into what they were doing and wanted the phones. So if you or I did this, it would be criminal. If you or I did this, we would be charged with felonies. And we're going to get into what specific felonies they would be over the course of the show. But it's absolutely stunning because for years we've been told that the Mueller team, people like Andrew Weissman, people like Peter Strzok, that they're going by the book. And the more we look into it, the more we learn that it actually wasn't by the book in any way, shape, or form. They were breaking the law. And in doing so, they were furthering a witch hunt that had no legitimate purpose, no legitimate prerequisite, and they were violating people's rights in the process. So I need everyone to hit the share button right now. We're going through in depth this claim. We're going to spend the whole hour talking about this, why it matters, the crimes involved. And we're going to call out the GOP. Because for 3 years, the GOP has promised that they would subpoena people, promised they would get to the bottom of all this, and for 3 years, we've been waiting. So make sure you hit that share button. Facebook is throttling us heavily, and we want to make sure that we get this out in front of as many people as possible. So we're going to start with just the actual documents that got released. And this wasn't the GOP's doing. This came from the DOJ. These are documents. Let's go ahead and put up image 8. What does this mean? Image 8, you look at this, and it looks like it's not, you don't really know what's going on. But what this details is the actual employees that were working for the Mueller team. And then it details the results of the Inspector General's attempt to look into their phones, to figure out what they were doing on their phones. Now, a lot of this is, now keep that up on the screen, Mr. Producer. A lot of this is redacted, so we can't know what it actually says or who it's dealing with. But we do see across all of these that there are some very interesting excuses for why the Office of Inspector General says he could not actually access the data on the phones. Let's go ahead and put up image 9. Image 9. So this one is particularly interesting. You look at the top. Let me zoom in on myself so I can see this. You look at what's going on, and it says no new notes, reminders. Is this the right one? No, sorry. Go to image 10. Image 10 is the one I want. Sorry, guys. Image 10. You look at the top, and they're talking about how phones were deleted because people forgot their passwords. Now, I want to talk about this because it's absolutely stunning that you would have people forgetting their passwords. We've been told that these people were the best of the best. We've been told that these people, oh, sorry, no. Go to image 9. It's on image 9, bottom of image 9. Sorry, I'm trying to read this all with you. It's very small text. So if you look at the bottom section of image 9, per conversation with redacted, phone was wiped due to a forgotten passcode on the evening of 5/7/18. And then you see again, per conversation with redacted, phone was wiped due to a forgotten password, not clear on the exact date. Then you see again, 5/30/2018, per conversation with redacted, Greg's phone, apparently we can know it's Greg, was wiped due to a forgotten passcode, not clear on the exact date. You look through this, and again, 6/1/2018, a couple down, notified by email, June 1st, 2018, wiped phone due to attempting the incorrect password too many times, believed had less than 10 text messages and 5 photos of non-investigative or informational significance. Think about that. So the phone was wiped. because they entered the wrong password too many times. We can go ahead and take that off the screen, Mr. Producer. It was white because they entered the wrong password too many times. And I want to make sure that I explain what that's all about. So, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up my computer screen. This is these are images that were put together by a Twitter user, Technofog. He is very good when it comes to, you should definitely follow him. He's very good when it comes to tracking this kind of stuff. And this is what it looks like in the iPhone settings if you want to set it up to erase all data. So you have to go into the settings, you have to click that button that says erase all data on this iPhone after 10 failed password attempts. It then warns you, all data on this phone will be erased after 10 failed passcode attempts. And you have to say, yes, enable. This is what happens if you forget your password. So if you forget your password 4 times, there's no penalty. But on the 5th time, a delay is enforced. This is from Apple. Apple enforces a delay, basically saying, okay, your phone might have been stolen or it's in the hands of someone who shouldn't have it. If you enter it in 4 times incorrectly, on the 5th time, you have to wait a minute. If you enter it again a 5th time, you have to wait, if you enter it a 6th time, you have to wait 5 minutes. If you enter it 7 and 8 times, you have to wait 15 minutes each time. And if you enter it wrong a 9th time, you have to wait an hour before attempting it again. So when you add all of this up, we are talking about it takes at least an hour and 36 minutes for someone to delete their phone for accidentally entering the wrong password 10 times. You can't just do it rapid fire. This is a process that takes an hour and 36 minutes at least. And we're being told that it happened multiple times. We can take the off my screen, Mr. Producer. We're being told that the best of the best that the FBI and the DOJ had to offer, the best of the best who were working for Robert Mueller, after using their phone for days, weeks, months, suddenly, and only after being notified by the Inspector General, they suddenly forgot their 4-digit password. They were just using it yesterday, but I'm sorry, today I forgot the password. But no, I'm a career intelligence official. You should trust me in everything, but I also can't remember my password. And on multiple occasions, multiple people spent at a minimum an hour and 36 minutes entering the wrong password in to delete everything in their possession. If you or I did this, it'd be criminal. But no, it's not a crime because the Mueller team did it. I want to go ahead and let's go ahead and put up image 1. This is the story itself. And just so you know, I'm not making this up. This is from, I believe, the National Review. At least 27 phones from Special Counsel's office were wiped before DOJ Inspector General could review them. Really amazing stuff. I want to talk about this a little bit because and we can take this off the screen. This next part shows just how big of a disconnect there is between the people at the DOJ and FBI and you and me, the little guys. George Papadopoulos, as you know, is one of the few people who actually went to jail as a result of Robert Mueller's witch hunt. They got him for lying to the FBI, right? And one of the reasons is they asked him, hey, did you ever speak to someone who had a Russian accent? And he said no, he didn't interpret the accent as Russian. They were able to prove that the guy was Russian, so they tacked that onto him, right? I want to put up his indictment, his actual charging document. Let's go ahead and put up image 2. These are the 3 final, well, there's one more, but these are 3 of the final 4 paragraphs in the FBI's, in the Mueller team's charging document, indictment against George Papadopoulos. And I want to read this because it shows just how there's one set of rules for me and you, and there's a separate set of rules for the investigators. So let's keep this on the screen for a little bit, Mr. Producer, because I'm going to read it. So it's section 4, events following Papadopoulos' January 27, 2017 interview with the FBI. FBI interviewed defendant Papadopoulos again on February 16, 2017. His counsel was present for the interview. During interview, defendant Papadopoulos reiterated his purported willingness to cooperate with the FBI's investigation. The next day, on or about February 17th, defendant Papadopoulos deactivated his Facebook account, which he had maintained since approximately August 2005 and which contained information about communications he had with the professor and the Russian MFA connection. Shortly after he deactivated his account, Papadopoulos created a new Facebook account that did not contain the communications with the professor and the Russian MFA connection. On or about February 23, 2017, defendant Papadopoulos ceased using his cell phone number and began using a new number. So we go ahead and take that off the screen. The reason I'm showing you that is because after Papadopoulos was interviewed, the FBI used him deactivating his Facebook account and used him getting a new phone as part of their indictment against him, as evidence that he was trying to conceal things from the government and that he was lying to investigators, that he was trying to destroy evidence. They put it right there, that by deactivating his Facebook account, he got rid of the communications he had between the professor and the Russian connection that they alleged he had. So they're saying that he had that by doing that, by deactivating his Facebook, which plenty of people do, if I'm being honest, I have the urge to do it almost every day. By deactivating his Facebook account, they are claiming in this indictment that he destroyed evidence. And in doing so, hindered the government's ability to get to the truth. That was in his indictment. The same people who were just caught destroying their phones tried to pile on charges against Papadopoulos, not for destroying his phone, but for simply getting off Facebook, for getting a new number, something he told them he was going to do, get a new phone number. And Mr. Producer, there's a little bit of an echo. If you could turn off the audio in your studio and put on headphones, that'd be great. It's just clear. It's clear that there is one set of rules for them and another set of rules for us. And this reminds me of that moment from 2016. We all know it, where Hillary Clinton was asked whether her team wiped her server. And she had that iconic answer. Let's go ahead and play cut one.
I made those decisions. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server? What, like with a cloth or something? Well, no. I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
So that's the Hillary Clinton defense. When you are being investigated, when you have an order to preserve records and documents, you can get out of it by saying, oh, no, it was wiped accidentally. No idea how. And guys, these are Mueller officials, the officials who are supposed to be the ones doing the investigating. I'm going to say it again. If you haven't already, hit the share button. We're being throttled. We're going into depth into this today. Make sure you hit the share button so we can get this truth out there. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the bell for notifications. I want to talk a little bit about the crimes. The crimes are actually, before we get to that, last year or a year before, what date was this? 2019. Let's go ahead and put up image 7. This was an NBC News story from 2019. Might not remember it, maybe you do. It was an attempt to smear Rudy Giuliani because he needed an Apple genius to help unlock his iPhone because he had entered the wrong password too many times. So he had entered the password 10 times incorrectly. And again, I still don't understand how someone could possibly do that. And he was forced to go to the Apple store to get them to unlock it, which suggests that this whole narrative that the Mueller team was putting forward is BS. Because if you lock it 10 times and you can prove that you are the rightful owner of the phone, Apple will unlock it for you. But no, they went out of their way to make sure that it erased everything. They didn't go to the Apple store. But let's go ahead and put that image 7 up one more time. The reason that NBC News ran this story is because they wanted to criticize Rudy Giuliani because he had just been named one of Donald Trump's cybersecurity advisors. And they said, they talked to government officials, and they said that the government officials were shocked that Trump's new cybersecurity advisor would not be able to unlock his phone and would need help unlocking his phone. And now here we are, a year later, exactly a year later. And the other cybersecurity experts in the FBI and the DOJ and the Mueller team, the ones who were investigating so-called collusion, the reason that we do not know what they were texting each other is because they could not remember their passwords. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a minute. Let me know in the comment section whether you believe that. Do you believe that someone in this position one day can be able to use their phone, the next day they just magically forget their password for their phone, the thing that they use every day? Let me know in the comment section whether you believe this. And again, hit that share button if you're on Facebook, and make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Zach says it's all for the legal argument. Innocent until proven guilty only applies to the swamp government. It's true. It's absolutely true. And let's go ahead and we'll put that up again. Which one? I think it's image 9. Yeah, let's put image 9 up again. If you look down at the bottom, where is it? It was, yeah, here we go. June 1st, 2018, towards the bottom of that image. Notified by email that the phone was wiped due to attempted incorrect password too many times. The person, who we don't get to know who it was, believed that he had less than 10 text messages and 5 photos of non-investigative or informational significance. So that's, listen, the law is in place that you're not allowed to destroy evidence, because you don't get to just destroy evidence and say, oh yeah, well, I was innocent all along. That's what they're doing here. They're saying, yeah, the phones were wiped, but I promise there was nothing bad on the phones to prove that we had an inherent bias against the president. And we know that the Office of Inspector General was able to actually recover some of the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, his lover. And those recovered text messages are how we know that Peter Strzok was hopelessly biased, right? So we're being told that, oh, yeah, well, we're the experts in cybersecurity in all this, but, oh, we also forgot our password. Sorry about that. Oh, but also, even though we forgot our password, even though you said you wanted to look at the phones and then conveniently we just happened to accidentally erase them, also, we're innocent. So everything that was in the phone, there's nothing wrong with it. We can't show you because we accidentally deleted it because of our incompetence. It's not willful. We didn't do this on purpose. We're just very incompetent. You can't see it, though, because we deleted it. But don't worry. I promise there's only 10 text messages and 5 photos on the phone. Don't worry. There's nothing. You're not missing anything. That's the argument that they're making. If you made that argument, you'd be in jail. You'd be in jail right now. You'd be indicted, and you'd be facing decades in prison. Let's talk about that a bit. Let's put up image 3. 18 U.S.C. Section 1519, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in a federal investigations and bankruptcy. Quote, whoever knowingly alters, destroys, mutilates, conceals, covers up, falsifies, or makes a false entry in any record, document, or tangible object, that's important because the phone is tangible, with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence the investigation or proper administration of any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States, or any case filed under Title 11, that's bankruptcy, doesn't apply, or in relation to or contemplation of any such matter or case, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. So we're talking about dozens, 27. I saw a report today that when you include the phones that were reassigned as well, that it might have gone up to 31, but we'll use the safer number so we don't get fact-checked. 27 instances of phones having lost their data, being wiped clean. Numerous of those were because the agents, in a moment of, I guess, incompetence, entered the wrong password 10 times over the course of an hour and 36 minutes at the very least. That crime, that crime I just read off to you, 18 U.S.C. Section 1519, is destruction of evidence. And it doesn't have to be an investigation. You can be charged with destroying evidence if you believe that an investigation is coming soon, which they had been notified by the Inspector General. He was looking into this. They destroyed evidence. If you or I did this, each phone, we'd be facing upwards of 20 years in prison. Think about that. When you add up the 27 phones, if you can prove that all of them were deliberate and intentional, right, that's 540 years in prison. That's the maximum combined prison sentence for all of those crimes, 540 years. But it gets worse. It's not just that crime. There's other crimes. Let's go ahead and put up image 4. Image 4, ironically, this is the crime that Peter Strzok was investigating Hillary Clinton for violating. 18 U.S.C. Section 2071, concealment, removal, or mutilation generally. We'll read directly from it. Quote, whoever willfully or unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, or with intent to do so takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or officer of any court of the United States, or in any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Whoever having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing willfully, unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both, shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. So not only is it criminal, not only does it include a fine, not only does each document or each record, and we're not talking about phones at this point, 27 phones, but on the phones were multiple documents, multiple records. The one I just talked about, the 20 years per phone, this is per record, per document, 3 years, up to 3 years per document. Not only would they go away to prison, but they would be barred from ever holding a position within the U.S. government again and holding any public office. Again, if you or I did this, if you were under investigation and you decide to delete the contents of your phone, not only would you be facing the 20 years for the basically deleting the phone, but you'd also be facing 3 years for each record, in this case government record, that you had deleted. Nope, rules for us, not for them. They're special. You see, they're the arbiters of justice. They're the ones who actually know what should be going on in the country, right? That's what the deep state is. The deep state is not a conspiracy theory. The deep state are entrenched people in government, media, in Congress who have been there so long and truly believe that they know best. And any time someone comes along, duly elected by the people, who wants to go against their recommendations, they feel that that person is wrong, and they think that they know better. We saw this with Alexander Vindman during the impeachment trials, right? He didn't like Trump's policy towards Ukraine, so he actively told his counterparts, like, just ignore it, right? It's a criminal. But no, he truly felt that he knew better. A low staffer knew better than the commander-in-chief. And we see that here in Mueller's team. Right? They truly believe that they know best, right? And that even if they broke the law, they truly believe that the ends justify the means. We saw that with the Mueller lawyer who pled guilty to lying about falsifying evidence. He received an email from the CIA that said Carter Page was a source. He edited the email to include the words "not a source," sent that to the FISA court to get the FISA court to renew the surveillance warrant against Carter Page, a Trump associate. Let me dive into this. We talked about this, but I got to dive into this again. It's very easy to get a FISA warrant. Very, very easy. 99.999 repeating, whatever the number is. It's almost every single FISA application. Every time the government wants to surveil an American citizen for being suspected of being a foreign agent, almost every time it's granted. It's much harder to get the FISA warrant renewed. Much, much harder, because you have to go to the court and say, yeah, we've been listening to the guy's phone calls, reading his emails, going through all of his stuff. And yeah, we don't have enough necessarily to charge him right now, but we think our hunch was correct. Here's evidence supporting the fact that he's a foreign agent. You have to actually provide the evidence. You have to prove that what you were doing bore fruit, right? If you can't prove that your suspicion, your initial suspicion was warranted, then you have to shut the thing down. One of the ways that one of the things that the judge demanded was that the Mueller team prove definitively, one way or another, whether Carter Page was a U.S. government source, because that's important. You're allowed to talk to Russians, right? You or me, we're allowed to go overseas and chat up some Russians. If we're doing it on behalf of the United States government and we're actually relaying that information to the United States, you can't turn around and say that the guy's a foreign agent. I mean, he could be a double agent. It gets complicated. But if he's working on behalf or has a history of working on behalf on the American government, then all of a sudden those conversations can be actually explained, right? Even if he wasn't working on an actual government mission, he's talking to them, and anytime he gets information that he thinks the U.S. government would like, he forwards it over. So the judge in this case wanted to know definitively whether Carter Page was a government source or not, because you can't just spy on government sources by saying, oh, but we actually think he's a double agent. It's a much higher bar. This FBI agent who's already pled guilty in federal court, a lawyer, FBI lawyer, has already pled guilty, said that he altered the email. Instead of it saying he is a source, he added the words "is not a source." And the judge, believing that the guy they were looking at was not a government source, authorized the warrant to be renewed. This is heavy stuff. This is serious stuff. Serious stuff. But yeah, no, the first crime, 20 years in prison for each phone if they did it deliberately. The next crime, 18 USC section 1519, section 1519. That's 3 years per government document. Here we go. Let's put up this next image, image 4. This is 18 USC section 2071, concealment, removal, or mutilation. Did I just read this one? Yeah, sorry. I think I just read that one. Next one. Image 5. Image 5, false statements. 18 USC section 1001, statements or entries generally. Except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States knowingly and willfully falsifies, conceals, or covers up by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact, makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation, or makes or uses any false writing or document knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry, shall be fined and imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both. If it involves terrorism or other crimes, then the prison sentence goes up. So there's two important parts. Let's leave this up. There's two important parts for this. Covers up by any trick or scheme, a material fact. Also makes any false writing or document knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry. We go ahead and take that down. We saw from the actual DOJ records that there are multiple instances where the report from the IG says that they emailed me over and said, yeah, sorry, I forgot my password 10 times and it's gone, right? So not only are they potentially liable for the crime of deleting the phone, not only are they potentially liable for the crimes of destroying and erasing the documents, but they also put it on paper and they lied to the inspector general. They lied about it. If you can prove it, again, but you got to actually make the effort to investigate. You and I, we both know people don't just wake up one day and suddenly forget the 4-digit code they need to open their phone and then spend an hour and 36 minutes just guessing the wrong number. We know that doesn't actually happen when you have a phone that you use every day. It doesn't actually happen. And it certainly doesn't happen this many times. And it certainly doesn't conveniently happen after being notified that you're under investigation and that the inspector general wants to see the phones. Right? There's just too many coincidences. You can't explain that away. But yes, also false statements would apply if you can prove it wrong. But you have to actually investigate. And this is the one I think that is possibly the most egregious. Let's put up image 6. 18 USC section 242. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Now, this is the statute that's commonly known as abuse of power. Abuse of power isn't actually a crime. What it's called is deprivation of rights under color of law. And what that means is that you used your position in government, your power, and you you basically abused it to violate someone's rights. Very serious crime. And I'll read it out. Quote, whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason of his color or race, then are prescribed for the punishment of citizens, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. And then it gets into bodily injury, dangerous weapons. That doesn't really apply. The reason that this applies is specifically because of that guilty plea. So you had the FBI lawyer pleading guilty in federal court that, yes, I falsified evidence to get a FISA warrant renewed. He's told the government he was not the only one who received the original email, the original unaltered email. There were other people in Mueller's team who knew that the CIA had told them that Carter Page was a source. He was a confidential informant. That he was, over time, relaying information to the U.S. government from what he learned from Russians. The guy who pled guilty was not the only one. He said other Mueller team officials also knew. So they knew he was a source, and they signed off on the warrant application extension, the warrant extension application. So they knew one thing, and they signed their name on the dotted line, said the opposite. And in doing so, deprived a lot of Americans of their rights. Now, we've talked about this before. I'll mention it again. Yes, by fraudulently getting that FISA warrant renewed, they deprived Carter Page of his rights under color of law. The fact that he just pled guilty to that one count of lying to the court, they could have got him with this too. But he pled guilty, probably is why they didn't throw this book at him. But everyone else involved who knew the truth but signed off on the warrant extension anyway, they are guilty of that crime. And the reason and it's not just Carter Page. when you have a FISA warrant, the way it works, and me and Joe disagree on how many levels of separation, how many degrees of separation you can get, but you're not just listening on Carter Page, you're also listening in on everyone he talks to, right? So you're listening to Carter Page's associates. The law also allows them to listen in on conversations between his associates and their associates, right? So that's 1 degree of separation and 2 degrees of separation. And there's some cases where they can even go a 3rd degree of separation, where they can listen in on Carter Page's associates. You're talking about hundreds, potentially thousands of people being caught up in a dragnet, a surveillance dragnet that was predicated on a fraudulent warrant extension application. It never should have happened. So it's not just Carter Page having his rights violated. It's everyone he talked to, potentially, everyone they talked to, potentially, and everyone they talked to, potentially. The government would have been able to listen in. Deprivation of rights under color of law. It's not just a one-off. Every single person whose rights were violated could potentially lead to that 1-year prison sentence. Multiply that by the number of people who had their rights violated by the Mueller team, and you start seeing how high the maximum potential prison sentence gets. These are not victimless crimes. These are not victimless crimes whatsoever. Let me read a little bit of the comments. Sherry says, more time, trick equals wiping phones. Yeah. The concealing by trick is the wiping phones, is a scheme. Sharon says, absolutely 100% deep swamp, no understanding why no arrest, discouraged that no treasonous acts being done. Yeah, no, I mean, treason is a hard crime to prove because treason involves multiple witnesses. You have to basically be taking up arms against the United States or giving aid and comfort to the enemy. It's a harder crime to prove, but it's a much easier to prove a crime like sedition, right? An attempt to overthrow a duly elected leader. That is much easier to prove. Treason's hard. Treason is one of the 3 crimes that's actually written into the Constitution. It's not a statute. It's actually constitutional what treason is, because the founders were very, very concerned over innocent people being accused of treason, which happened, right? They just fought a war for independence, and they were all labeled as traitors. And they were all basically the equivalent of being indicted for treason. They were very, very nervous about a government being able to just accuse someone willy-nilly of treason. So they put it in the Constitution that said certain conditions have to be met. But then Congress came along and they wrote other laws like sedition, right? Seditious conspiracy. You don't even have to be successful. Seditious conspiracy is just when one or more people conspire to overthrow the government or the duly elected leader, right? You start seeing how these crimes are just basically adding up. And listen, if we did this, we'd have the book thrown at us. We'd be facing hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, if we did what the FBI and the Mueller team did. Now, you don't actually serve thousands of years. No one lives that long, so it's a death sentence, right? But if you truly wanted to throw the book at someone for everything we've been talking about today, you could send, if one person did this all, which I don't think, which is why I think this is a seditious conspiracy. But if you were to take all these crimes and assign them to one person, you're talking about well over 1,000 years in prison. And that's being very conservative with the number of people who've had their rights violated and the number of actual documents that were destroyed. Very conservative, right? If you start thinking, well, there's probably a lot more, that number gets really, really big. But no, they are special. The Mueller investigators are special. They deserve special treatment. And as I said, they basically threw the book at George Papadopoulos because he dared he dared turn off his Facebook account. And he dared get a new phone. Something he said he told investigators he was getting a new phone. They included it in the indictment as evidence that he was trying to mislead federal investigators. And here, those same investigators are being investigated themselves. And before the inspector general can actually get his hands on the phones, oh, I'm sorry, 27 of them, we just lost, data gone, sorry. Yeah, we just forgot our passwords. Sorry about that. But I trust me, we're very competent people. Just because the phone we've used every day for weeks or months, just because we woke up, oops, forgot the password. Don't hold that against us. We're very competent people, I promise. Everyone, I'm going to say it again, hit the share button if you haven't already. Facebook is throttling us. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell. for notifications. I want to talk about how shameful the GOP has been. Let's call a spade a spade. The GOP has said for years, that they're going to investigate this stuff. Years that they're going to get to the bottom of it. Years. They're not doing it. Why aren't they doing it? They're doing it because I can only think it's one of two things. Either they're hoping that you just forget about the promise. They're hoping that you just forget that they promised to start hauling Obama administration officials and Mueller officials and deep state officials in to testify and answer for the crimes. They're hoping you're going to forget about it, that you have a short memory. Or they're hoping that someone else does their job for them. I think it's a combination of both. Because every time someone else, and by someone else I mean organizations like ours, right? You have Judicial Watch. They're doing a lot of freedom of information requests. The Office of Inspector General is releasing a lot of these documents. DOJ, FBI are releasing documents, not because Congress is forcing them to. No, you have people like Lindsey Graham and Ron Johnson coming out and commenting only when the documents become publicly available, but they made no effort to try and get them themselves, even though they have subpoena power. Really, really shameful. I want to play this because this is a clip of Lindsey Graham last night on Fox. Lindsey Graham is basically, he's not committing to actually drag anyone in to testify. He's telling everyone, wait, in 10 or 12 days, you're going to get another bombshell. No, Lindsey Graham, we don't want a bombshell. We want you to start dragging these people in to testify, subpoenaing all of their records, and yes, referring them to prosecution, something you have the authority to do when you uncover lawlessness, referring them for prosecution to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And by law, a criminal referral like that, by law, the law says that it doesn't give them discretion whether or not they look into it. They're required to look into congressional criminal referrals. The U.S. Attorney's Office can't just say, no, I'm not interested. But no, the GOP has said they are not interested. So let's go ahead and play this cut 2.
Okay, so where are we with this, and what about these new developments? Because I think they owe us answers, that they all made password errors, so now we're just going to erase the phone completely and wipe it clean? You mean like with a cloth? That kind of clean? Bleach bit clean? Hammer clean?
We cannot live in a country where this is tolerated. Trump, Russia, look how much money they spent, how many agents were involved investigating all things Trump and Russia, how many subpoenas issued, how many lives turned upside down. The question for me, was there a double standard here? It's pretty obvious to me there was. But stay tuned, Sean. You think you're mad about the phones being wiped? Stay tuned. We'll talk in about 10 or 12 days, and we'll see if there's something else you could get mad about. Just stay tuned.
I hate when you're basically telling me you know something I don't know. I hate that. By the way, congrats.
So this makes my blood boil. Lindsey Graham is saying, oh, well, listen, if Lindsey Graham spent a fraction of the amount of time that he's going on TV talking about this, if he spent a fraction of the time writing up actual subpoenas, this would already be finished. Lindsey Graham would rather go on Hannity or Tucker and talk about it than actually get the job done. And then he says, well, stay tuned. You have to wait 10, 12 days. There's going to be another development. Well, no, because when there's another development, that basically overshadows this. How many times have we heard from Lindsey Graham, I promise I'm going to subpoena these people? And how many times has he actually done it? Well, that's not true. He did issue some subpoenas, but you don't see them dragging people in to testify. You don't see them actually getting to the bottom of this. You just don't. He would much rather go on Fox News and say, TikTok. Remember, they always say that on Hannity. I don't blame Hannity. Hannity's getting fed the information. He keeps saying TikTok, TikTok. I'm tired of hearing TikTok. I don't want to hear that anymore. Lindsey Graham. There's a saying, and I'm going to say it, and we're probably going to have to put this explicit now, but it's time to either shit or get off the pot. Sorry if you don't like the language, but I'm furious at this. I'm absolutely furious because he has the ability to subpoena all of these people. He's the head of the Judiciary Committee. He has subpoena power. He pushed a resolution through committee to give him sole subpoena power. He doesn't have to put it to a vote. If he wants to subpoena someone, he can do it. The committee has already given him that power, and he isn't doing it. He just isn't doing it. And the reason you have to ask yourself why. Why was Lindsey Graham also the one who told Donald Trump to sit with Bob Woodward for his book? Why? Do you think a Trump ally would do that? Do you think someone who actually wants to make America great again would recommend that? And here Lindsey Graham is saying he needs to raise $75 million to keep his seat safe. He's willing to only go so far. He's not willing to actually do what he says he does, says he'll do. And maybe this is unfair. I'm just getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of being told time and time again that wait. We've been hearing this for years. Hearing it for years. And we're not getting these revelations from him. We're getting it from other organizations that are doing the hard work, when all he has to do is lift up a pen and sign a subpoena. It's shameful. Hit the share button if you haven't already. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We got more. I said how many times has he done it? I tried to count this morning. I couldn't count. But I have a little montage we're going to play of all different times that Lindsey Graham promised he was going to subpoena someone and hasn't done it. Let's go ahead and play cut 3. This is
the president has asked Congress to look into whether or not his campaign was wiretapped by the Obama administration. I will take up that challenge, and we sent a letter to the Department of Justice and the FBI asking them for any information that they may have used to obtain a warrant. The whole purpose of this is to find out if a warrant was issued directed at the Trump campaign.
And if they don't provide this information?
Then I'll have done my job. Either they're lying to me or there is no information, and I don't believe they would lie to me about this. I expect them to come forward as to whether or not a warrant was obtained or sought.
And will you subpoena this information if they don't comply?
Yes.
You will. Did you talk to Trump about this last night?
I just talked to him about Russia.
Let's go ahead and cut it.
Russia's not our friend.
So he says there's only 2 options. Either there's no documents or they're lying, and I don't think they'd lie to me. We now know that they were lying to him. That clip was from, I believe, 2017? 2017? We now know they were lying because one of the Mueller officials, at that time it wasn't Mueller yet, but one of the Mueller officials fraudulently got a FISA warrant renewed, a warrant to surveil a former member at that point, a former member of Donald Trump's campaign, an advisor, Carter Page. So Lindsey Graham said, well, I sent a letter. Notice how he didn't say subpoena. He said at the end that he subpoena. He didn't. He said, I sent a strongly worded letter. Did you do this? And the deep state says, no, Mr. Graham. No, Senator Graham. We didn't do it. And then his response there, he said, oh, well, I don't think they'd lie to me. So obviously that means there's no records. Records do not exist because they wouldn't lie to me. Fast forward 3 years. They lied. They lied to the FISA court to get these. Not only did they have a warrant, they had it renewed multiple times, and multiple renewals were fraudulent. It contained fabricated evidence. But no, Mr. Graham will not subpoena them because they told him the truth, because they wouldn't lie to him. They wouldn't lie to the American people. This next one, I wanted to play this one because Maria Bartiromo makes Lindsey Graham squirm. Watch Lindsey Graham squirm as Bartiromo accuses him of not actually following through with these subpoena threats. Let's go ahead and play cut 4.
I've got to tell you, though, I mean, we've been talking about this now for 3 years, and when I first came on the scene and said, look, this is a coup to take down Donald Trump, I got slammed. Everybody out there was just going on this, Russia collusion witch hunt, which was ridiculous. And you told me repeatedly over the last couple of years, as I continued to bring this evidence forth, in February of 2019, you said, I'm going to subpoena Rosenstein, Yates, Strzok, Comey. In July of 19, you said, I'm vowing to do a deep dive. In August 19, you said, we will make sure this never happens again. September 22nd, 2019, you came on this show, you said, we're ready to start calling people. October 29, I'm going to call Horowitz and subpoena. November 19, I'm going to call Horowitz after the findings. You are the only one with subpoena power right now in the Republican Party. We need you to call these individuals down to testify as witnesses. People want you to move on this, Senator. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, but I've told you, and I'll tell you again, I'm not going to interfere in an ongoing criminal matter.
You watch him squirm? How fun was that? As soon as I came across, I remember this, as soon as I came across this video, I stopped trying to find all those other appearances because she just listed them all. The countless times that he went before her show and other shows promising to do it And he never did. And then he says, oh, well, I'm not going to interfere in an investigation. The whole point is to investigate the investigators. The whole point of government oversight is the idea that the government cannot necessarily police itself. Listen, the Inspector General investigated Peter Strzok, and they found, yes, Peter Strzok is biased, but we cannot prove that he actually had that bias influence his work product. Even though he was saying, we're taking down Trump, oh, yeah. They couldn't prove that he actually made decisions based on the bias. But they say he was biased. Lindsey Graham says, oh, no, well, I know that you want me to investigate the investigators, but I have to let the investigators investigate themselves before I'm allowed to intervene. I don't want to interfere. It's BS, folks. It's BS. Lindsey Graham never had any intention to actually submit these subpoenas. I don't believe it. He's welcome to come on the show if he wants to refute it. Happy to come on. We're talking about potentially having some congressmen and senators on the show in the next couple weeks. He's welcome to come on. I don't get it. I don't see how he could just say, oh, well, yeah, I know I said all those things. And he's squirming, saying, yeah. He's squirming. It's unbelievable. Let's go ahead and play this next clip. This is when Lindsey Graham was saying that there would be no impeachment trial without the whistleblower having to come forward and actually say who he was and actually publicly voice his complaint. Let's go ahead and play cut 5.
To the presidency itself. And secondly, any trial in the Senate must expose the whistleblower so the president can confront his accuser. I will not accept a trial in the Senate until I know who the whistleblower is.
So,
yep, it's a lie. He accepted the trial. He actually participated in it. He didn't basically say, I'm not going to participate. He didn't try and block it. He let it move forward. And it's not just on Fox. He also said it on other channels. Let's go ahead and play cut 6.
There's no quid pro. Nothing happened here. We're not going to impeach this president over this. We're not going to legitimize a hearing where you can only call Democratic witnesses. It's over. It's done for me.
How do you think that this is going to...
It's over and done for me.
How long should the Senate proceeding last?
Well, if you exclude hearsay as a basis for impeachment, which every court in the land would, unless there's an exception, I will not allow trial in the Senate to go forward with my vote unless the whistleblower comes forward. Even though they're offering hearsay, they're the ones that started this. And I want to know, is there a connection between the whistleblower, the CIA, Biden, or any other Democrat that would make cast suspicions over their motives? I want to get to the bottom of this. We're not going to let the President of the United States be tried.
Notice how he didn't do any of that. He didn't force the whistleblower to testify. He didn't do a deep dive into whether the whistleblower had connections with Joe Biden or the CIA or other anti-Trump officials. He didn't do any of that. Again, I would love to think that I'm wrong here. I want nothing more than to be wrong and to say that Lindsey Graham has other excuses. But it seems, going through all of this, that he just doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to issue the subpoenas. And in fairness, it's not just Lindsey Graham. It's also Ron Johnson. Senator Ron Johnson from where? Wisconsin. Senator Ron Johnson. I believe he was on, Hugh Hewitt's show? I'll get blasted if I get this wrong. Hugh Hewitt's show. And Hugh asked him directly, why aren't you subpoenaing all these people? Because Ron Johnson also has subpoena power in another committee. It's not just Graham, it's also Johnson. And the answer that Johnson gave on live radio, stunning. Let's go ahead and play it. Cut 7.
I'm just asking you, Senator, do you expect them? People out there want to know what's going to happen, and you're in a position to tell us what you, Ron Johnson, feel. Not what you'd like to feel, but what you actually feel. Do you expect we're going to be sitting on indictments or no indictments?
Sure, I'm not involved with Durham's investigation, but he should be indicting people.
Yeah, but that's not...
He should have indicted people earlier. Andrew McCabe should have been indicted a year ago for lying to the FBI. Papadopoulos spent 10 days in prison here in Wisconsin for lying to the FBI. Andrew McCabe lied to him 4 times. It's well documented. No indictments yet. I can't figure that out.
I'm shaking my head. I don't think, Senator, you understand the depth to which people like me, the center right of the party, are absolutely disappointed in our senators. Absolutely disappointed. They play hardball in the House. You guys play softball underhand in the Senate. And We are going to lose this election if we lose it in the Senate, if we lose the Senate, because you and Lindsey let them do this. You let them slow walk you into a corner.
I don't know how to respond to that, Hugh. I'm doing everything I can in terms of.
Well, you got to kick ass on your committee staff and fire people.
Trying to destroy me. I'm pushing forward. I'm just sorry you feel this way. I'm doing everything I believe I possibly can on this thing.
You know what? You want a suggestion? Go into your next committee hearing and ask for the authority to subpoena Jim Comey and hold a vote in public, and let's see who says no. Because that will tell me a lot about the senators on your committee. Will you commit to doing that?
Not on a radio show, Hugh. Sorry.
What's wrong with a radio show? I had the president on yesterday.
Again, Hugh. What can I say, Hugh? Now, I'm doing everything.
Maybe I'm sorry to the American people. I'm sorry.
Have you read the 11-page open letter I just published on Monday?
No, you don't. Don't you get it? You don't get it. We don't care about that. I want to know when Comey's going to be in front of your committee, and it sounds like never.
I know you're hung up on Comey's testimony. There's all kinds of different aspects to this thing as well. So,
Senator Ron Johnson, come back when you've got something.
Let's cut it there. So, there was a follow-up. Ron Johnson gave a follow-up and said that he was being blocked by certain colleagues were blocking him. Hugh Hewitt actually had his facts a little bit wrong. Johnson already had subpoena power. He already had the authority to issue subpoenas. Like Lindsey Graham, he got his committee to give him that power. As soon as Republicans get subpoena power, they freeze up and they don't do anything. Listen, Democrats have dozens of investigations against Trump right now. Dozens. They have taken investigations all the way to the Supreme Court. That's how long Democrats have been at this. Not only are they using their committees, but they're actually issuing subpoenas. And when the subpoenas aren't actually obeyed and complied with, they take it to court. They take it all the way to the Supreme Court. They've had Supreme Court arguments for their investigations. And the GOP won't even issue the first subpoenas. And we see that from Lindsey Graham. We see that from Ron Johnson. I don't know why. I don't know whether someone's gotten to them, whether they're being pressured, or they just don't have what it takes. I don't know. But they have the power to issue the subpoenas, and they're not doing it. They talk. We just heard on Hugh Hewitt's show. Ron Johnson said, well, have you seen the open letter I published on Monday? I don't care about your open letters. We don't want open letters. We want subpoenas. We want testimony. We want criminal referrals. This is what the GOP does. They talk. They write their open letters. They send their strongly worded letters like Lindsey Graham did, but then basically explain that, oh, well, they will never lie to me. So if they say it's not there, I'll believe them. Listen, folks, we have to smack some sense into these people. We have to do it. Because we've seen now that it's crazy, but the Mueller team was destroying evidence. After the Inspector General requested their phones, they wiped them clean. Oh, we forgot our passwords. Like you believe that? Forgot their passwords. We gotta do something about this. And we're running a campaign today. I'm gonna put the link, pin it in the description on Facebook. I'll go ahead and put the link in YouTube as well. We're running a campaign. Our goal, we want to send 1 million fax blasts to Congress, demanding that they launch this investigation, subpoena these people, force them to answer for their crimes, and yes, refer them for criminal prosecution if the facts of the case demand it. We're done. We want to send 1 million. 1 million. What that means, we want congressional fax machines all across Capitol Hill. We want them to print out 1 million pages. And we need your help to do it. This is part of the way that we keep the show running, part of the way that we keep our organization running, is through these kinds of fax blast campaigns. So I left a link in the description, a link in the comments if you want to join the campaign and pressure Congress. Listen, they're getting tons of pressure today because they didn't think this was going to come out. Again, they're either expecting someone else to do their dirty work or they're thinking you're going to forget about it. It's up to you to say, no, I'm not going to forget about it, and it's not good enough to wait for someone else to get this done. So join our Fax Blast campaign today. Click the link in the descriptions or in the comment section and join the campaign. Help us pressure Congress into getting to the bottom of this, because that's what it's all about. Listen, I went through 4 crimes today, 4 crimes that me, just a casual observer, someone who reports this every day, 4 crimes that I can identify, there's at least a case to be made. Case to be made to at least investigate it, if not already indict. 4 different crimes. There's other crimes like lying to Congress, because all these people have already testified before Congress in other situations, said, oh yeah, it was by the books. Well, no, it's not by the books if you're deleting 27 phones. It's not by the books. It just isn't. So why don't we hold them accountable the way that they went after Trump's associates? If Trump's associates said one thing that was just even possibly untrue or could even be construed to be untrue, they threw the book at him. Like I said, one of the reasons that Papadopoulos got charged is because they asked him, did you speak with anyone with a Russian accent? He didn't interpret it to be a Russian accent. I guess he interpreted it to be some other Eastern European accent. And the Fed said, no, he's Russian, so you lied to us. Where's the backbone from the GOP? Where's the backbone? As I said, Democrats have already gotten to the Supreme Court for some of their investigations. They fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to enforce some of their subpoenas. And the GOP is just sitting on their hands. We heard from Ron Johnson saying there's nothing, he's doing everything he can. Well, no, Ron Johnson, you have sole subpoena power. It was given to you by the committee. You can subpoena whoever you want. Same with Lindsey Graham. The only way they're going to do it is if you demand it. The only way they're going to do it is if you demand it. They have to understand that they're not going to get away with this. They can't just sweep the biggest conspiracy, the biggest abuse of power scandal in American history. They can't just sweep it under the rug and get reelected. It's up to all of us to make sure they understand that. Lindsey Graham goes on Fox and says, donate to my campaign, we need to win. Well, Lindsey, we don't need you to win if you're not actually going to do the things you promised to do. I like Lindsey Graham in other ways. I hate him when it comes to immigration, but I like him in other ways. But if you're not going to actually do what you say you're going to do, then you might as well be a Democrat, because you're certainly voting like them. You're certainly acting like them. Right? There's no functional difference between Lindsey Graham and a Democrat when it comes to the issue of amnesty for illegal aliens. There just isn't. There's no difference between Lindsey Graham and a Democrat when it comes to subpoenaing deep state criminals. There's no difference. Go down the list. I'd love someone to tell me what Lindsey Graham brings to the table if he's not even willing to use his subpoena power. I'm sure there's something. But right now, when we just learned that Mueller officials were destroying their evidence, deleting their phones, wiping it, as Hillary Clinton did with a cloth, forgetting their password after using their phone every day for weeks. Oh, sorry, just forgot. Had a senior moment, I guess. Forgot my password 10 times over the course of an hour and 36 minutes. Oh, my bad. Sorry, but don't worry. Everything on the phone was all up to snuff. There's nothing there. No illegal stuff was happening. Just take our word for it. We can't show you because we forgot our passwords and deleted everything. But I promise there was nothing bad. It's insane, folks. It's absolutely insane. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to read a ton of comments today in the comment section. I didn't get to read a ton of comments, but because I'm alone today. Joe is in the air flying. So I'll look through them, and if there was any trolls I missed, I'll be happy to go back and ban them. Again, we really want to reach as many people as possible. Since Facebook started throttling us, this is our biggest live stream since, capping out at 150. Usually at this point, we'd have like 1,300 people. So please, if you haven't already, hit the share button, like the video, and comment. And on YouTube, if you're watching, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell for notifications. It really helps us out a lot. I hope that I was able to dive into this. I got angry towards the end, but we should all be angry. We should all be angry about this because we've been hearing the same empty promises for years, and it's time to put up or shut up. It's time, as I said, to crap or get off the pot. If you're not going to actually subpoena these people, step aside and let someone who will take the reins. And yes, if that means they have to be voted out of office, then so be it. Because there is no benefit, there's zero benefit to having a spineless rhino in power. There's no benefit to me. Sorry. There's no benefit. Well, let me know if you disagree in the comment section. People are free to disagree, but I just can't see it. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Again, if you haven't already, hit the share button, like the video, and comment on YouTube. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you want to subscribe to our podcast and get audio updates, if you can't watch it live, you can subscribe. A bunch of links in the description. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean. All ways, if you can't watch live, you can listen as you go about your day. If you're listening, we do live stream on Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you check us out there, facebook.com/Conservative Daily, and then search for Conservative Daily on YouTube. You can find us there. Also, there's a link in the description for you to check out our store if you want to buy some merch and help support the channel. We're on Parler, so if you follow us at Conservative Daily, all one word, we'll be happy to follow you back. There's a link in our description for you to join our email newsletter, which is how we're going to get the word out if we do ultimately get banned, because we're not going to end the show. We're going to keep going. So make sure you sign up for that email newsletter if you haven't already. Then we send out our action alerts, our fax blast alerts, as well as updates about the show. So make sure you sign up for that email newsletter as well. And then, as I said, I've included a link for our fax blast campaign there. That's one of the ways that we help support the operation, help pay the bills. But it's also a really big part of what we do, which is putting pressure on Congress to make sure that they understand they have to do their jobs or else they'll be removed from office. So make sure you check out that link in the description and in the comment section to join the Fax Blast campaign and put pressure on Congress to finally subpoena these crooks and drag them in to answer for their crimes. So again, my name is Max McGuire. Joe couldn't make it on today, but he'll be here starting Monday. So again, that's going to be it for this episode. Remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together.